Hi guys, I got so close with last presentation. We're trying to get underneath that 15-minute. I'm definitely going to be able to do that with this one because I only have one more slide to cover for us. But getting back into that discussion about the monopolists and how it connects to today, I want to take a look at four different things. Sorry, four connections to today's U.S. One's the minimum wage, right? Minimum wage today, federal minimum wage is 7.25, but there's a lot of people wanting that to be bumped up, mainly because people living on minimum wage have a hard time making ends meet. Um, it hasn't kept up with the rate of inflation, so everything that people buy costs more, but minimum wage is growing too slow. Right? This connects back to these big businessmen because one of the ways that they are able to control their prices and do so well and keep all and get all that money and become that wealthy is that they're controlling the wages that they're paying. They don't have a minimum wage to worry about. So they're able to pay as little as they want and as little as the worker will possibly accept. So there's this debate about the minimum wage and whether if we raise the minimum wage, will that cause businesses to go under, seeing that they have to pay more for the services of their labor, and they may not be doing that well at the time. So that's something to keep a lookout. Right now, this is for the 2014 class. There are fast food workers out there pushing, and they want the minimum wage to be raised from 7.25 to I think they said $15. So that's a big issue going on today. Another one is the federal regulation of businesses. How much power should our government have to break up these monopolies? To go in there and say, no, too you're not competitive anymore. You've run away all the competition, so you have too much control over this one area of our economy. Or to regulate for safety reasons, to regulate for environmental reasons. Like that's one of the kind of the big things today is the government regulation of the auto industry. Right? How many miles per gallon should a car have to get? Is that something our government should be involved in? That is the debate today. Um, what right, what emissions should cars be allowed to put into the environment? Another one, the monopolies themselves. Right? A lot of these monopolies we talked about are going to be broken up. Right? J.D. Rockefeller is going to be the main one. Standard Oil was broken up, and from that we get Exxon and Texaco and all these smaller gas companies. Well, what about monopolies today? In the 1990s, Microsoft was deemed to be a monopoly. That's why when you get a computer, right, today it does not have, unless you go to Best Buy or somewhere and ask them to put it on it for you before you leave the store. It doesn't have Microsoft Office on it. That's something you have to buy separate. That wasn't the way it was in the 1990s. It already had Microsoft Office. The biggest thing was that it had IE, Internet Explorer, already loaded onto the computer. Other companies at the time, it was Netscape. Netscape's gone the way of the dodo now, but Netscape and um, Firefox and all these other Windows. Chrome wasn't around yet, but all these other internet. Um, I'm trying to think of the name for them now. Um, Browsers. There we go. All right, all these other browsers couldn't compete because the computers already came with one up there. Why is anybody else going to go and put Netscape up there? So Microsoft was deemed to be not being broken up. But today, people are asking questions about other companies. Probably the most well-known one that people are getting a little concerned about right now is Google. Right? Google is buying up everything. They've got YouTube. Um, they've got all these other ones. Right? When you link your Google account to this and to that. Also, they've got. I just saw the other day where they're buying a thermostat company and they're creating a thermostat. So they're kind of getting more involved in everybody's lives. So keep a watch and see what's going on with that. The last one's philanthropy, giving back to the community by these rich people. Right? One of the things that's a concern is how high the taxes should be on the rich. if we put taxes too high on the rich, do they stop trying to go out there and build their businesses up, knowing that they're going to have to give more of a percentage to the government to fund welfare and to fund education, fund infrastructure? So there's also this idea of these rich people should give back, or at least society says it should give back. Bill Gates, Microsoft, he gives away millions of dollars every year to research with different diseases, education. He's a huge supporter of education and innovation in education. So he's out there and he's doing all these good deeds. One of the things that Steve Jobs was criticized for is nobody knew if he did any philanthropic work, if he gave money away, because he was very low key about that. He wasn't making a show of giving that money away. And so when Steve Jobs died, there was this idea of, well, let's see where his money went, because we didn't know. Where Bill Gates was giving money away with these big programs and these big events. So those are just some of those connections today. I wanted to make sure I put in there for you before we ended the Monopolists. Y'all have a good one.